Good morning. I'm gonna make some cheese today. So my husband just brought in the milk from the milking, and it works great to just take it straight and put it right in your cheese pot because it's at the right temperature. So got some eggs here for you if you're ready for some breakfast. Okay, so this is my cheese making book that I use. I got it from New England Cheese Making Company. And I think I'm gonna do a Monterey Jack. Am I saying that right? Monterey Jack. So first step is I need to make sure my milk is at 90 degrees and then put in the starter culture and just let it sit for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna check my temperature and get some starter put in it. Okay, the milk is at like 86, 88 degrees, so close enough. And now I'm gonna add my starter. You can buy them already in little pre-made measured packets, but since I've started making cheese a lot more, I like to buy it in the big ones and just use like 1/8 of a teaspoon. I will cover that, set a timer for 30 minutes, and clean up some breakfast dishes. Okay, the culture has been sitting in there for 30 minutes. Now it is time for me to add the rennet. You always mix it with like a 1/4 cup of cool water. So I need 1/2 teaspoon. Now you can do liquid, you can do tablets, you can do animal-based, you can do plant-based. Okay, and I'm gonna stir that into here. Actually take my and then we let it sit again for about 45 minutes. The first part of cheese making is really just put this in, let it sit, put this in, let it sit. And that part is super easy. A little tip, always use stainless steel when you're making cheese because bacteria can stick to like plastic and wood. And a lot of times I always try to like run a bunch of hot water in my stuff before I get it going. I've never had anything be contaminated, so I've been getting kind of relaxed on that. But there are people who struggle with their cheese ended up being contaminated, and a lot of times it's because they needed to like rinse off everything with really, really hot water or sanitize things before they got going. Another thing that I've been taught is do not make bread the same day that you're making cheese, because the yeast that goes up in the air when you're making bread is actually what contaminates cheese. It's yeast. So I don't make bread. I don't have a sourdough starter anywhere near my cheese making stuff. I don't have a sourdough starter period right now. But those kind of things, if you're fermenting something, just make sure you don't have it close by when you're making cheese. And other than that, you should be pretty good with just normal sanitary practices. So we're gonna let that go. And then the next step is I will have to cut the curds. And each cheese is a little different. So this cheese, I will cut the curds and just let it sit again for a while. A lot of times you kind of cut the curds and then you just start stirring it right away. This one is a really hands-off type of cheese. It's super easy. I've made it like one other time and I was like, wow, this is such a fun, easy cheese to make. So I'm gonna let it sit till it gets nice, and the rennet will congeal the milk. That's when you will get the thick curds. So then I'll cut it and let it sit before we do the next step again. Okay, let's cut some curds. Let me get my knife. Now, ideally, I should cut it this way too, but I don't have a cheese cutter to go like that. So each cheese recipe calls for a little bit different size curds. This was supposed to be a 1/4 inch. I don't think they got exactly 1/4 inch. Kind of see here how they kind of broke up. Some of them are supposed to be 1/2 inch, whatever it be. So this is supposed to set for another 40 minutes, and then I'll come back and slowly heat the curds and stir them. Meanwhile, let's see how much school I can get done. Okay, so my cut curds have been sitting in here for 40 minutes. So my next step is to slowly heat the curds to 100 degrees. And I need to stir them about every 3 minutes to keep them from matting. Now, my burner is very finicky on this top guy, so it says it should take me about 35 minutes to get it up to 100 degrees. It will probably take me more like 45 minutes. So first steps is I'm going to turn the burner on, and I'm just going to give these a gentle stir. And I am probably just going to set my cell phone timer for about every 5 minutes or so to come and check on them. And it's a lot of just checking the temperature, stirring, checking temperature, and stirring. All right, 5 minutes. I know it says every 3 minutes, but until it starts to get up to temperature, checking on it every 5 minutes is going to be just fine. Plus, we are still trying to tackle some schoolwork, and leaving school every 3 minutes is not really ideal. Okay, we're just gonna check and see what this temperature is looking like. I think I've got quite a while to go here. Oh, you can't even see. My thermometer is a little short, so I have to put it all the way down in there. We are at about 80 degrees, so it is going to take us quite a while to get up to the 100 degrees. So I'm just gonna gently take my spoon, just gonna stir the curds up here a little bit. And this burner takes a little while to get hot, but then when it gets hot really fast. So I am going to just continue to check it every 5 minutes. This is the part of cheese making that you just have to play around with, and you have to know your stove. I turned this up and it got hot really fast, so I had to turn it way back down and just let it continue to go very slow. Hence my timer to go check it. So this part, you just watch it. Just watch the temperature, watch your timing, and just keep stirring it so your curds don't start to kind of melt and want to stick together. A lot of times, this is when people wash their hands really good, and you use your hands because you can start feeling the change of the curds. They kind of become a little bit more dense, a little bit more rubbery. That's when you know your curds are actually being cooked, which is kind of what you want. So it's a learning curve. You just kind of play around with it. You figure out what burner works good. You figure out how fast things heat up. It's just kind of a trial and error. So today I will probably mostly use my spoon because I don't have a very full pot. When I have a really full pot, I often will go up to almost my elbows and just kind of gently stir things. I like to kind of feel how the curds are as well, but like I said, that's just kind of a learning curve. So I'm just going to continue to slowly heat it. Hopefully it's slowed down now that I don't actually like cook my curds, and keep it going. Then later, I just need to maintain the temperature at 100 degrees for another half an hour. So that's probably what I'll end up picking up again. Once this heats to 100 degrees, I'll just let it stay there for, like I said, a half hour and just keep stirring them. Okay, I'm going to try to show you guys what they mean by don't let your curds get matted together. I saw one in here when I was stirring it. Here we go. You can kind of see how they want to stay lumped together. We don't want them lumping together like that. We want it to stay nice and separated. So again, here's some more that they're kind of wanting to melt together. You just kind of slowly break those apart. That's another nice thing about actually using your hands, because you can kind of make sure, you see how everything just wants to fall apart? That's what you want. You don't want them to be starting to, and you can feel it. You can feel that that is much denser and it's not wanting to really pull apart. So I am almost, what temperature am I at right now? Some of these curds are still fairly large, and so I just kind of break them apart as well. Pull him out of here now. I am about 92 degrees, so we're getting there. And then I need to get it to stay at 100 degrees. Right now, I'm just kind of going through, finding any of those hard pieces that were starting to want to melt together, and finding any of the bigger curds and just kind of splitting them up a little. So everything is more of the same size. So I think we're right on track. Okay, so the curds have been up to heat and they've been sitting there for about a half hour at 100 degrees. Meanwhile, I had to get some lunch ready, and now these, the whey needs to come off of them. So they've kind of settled and the curds are down beneath. So I just kind of use a 2-cup measurement, and all I want to do is take just the whey off. And I have a bucket over here, and I just pour the whey into the bucket. And so some cheeses you take the whey off, and some you don't take the whey off till you're ready to strain or till you're ready to press it. It really depends on what for cheese you're doing. Some cheeses you take some of the whey off and replace it with cold water to kind of cool it down. But this one, we're going to take the whey off till it is level with the curds. Till it's level with the curds, and then keep it again at 100 degrees for another half hour. I don't know, you might be able to kind of see the curds trying to come to the surface, so that's kind of why you want to let them sit and settle for a little. I think I could probably get 1 or 2 more scoops off. Gentle stir. Since I pushed them down, they probably matted up a little. I'm going to double check my temperature, make sure I'm still at 100 degrees, which looks like I am. And I just need to stir these again, just kind of stir them occasionally. The curds are all pretty much the same size now. Every now and then you kind of have one that's just a little bit bigger, and I just kind of squish them, but most of them are pretty well all the same size. I am going to put the lid back on him just because we have lunch going on. I want to make sure I don't get any kind of stuff accidentally dropping in here. So now I time it for another 30 minutes. Okay, I am now ready to strain the curds completely. So I got my cheesecloth here. Yes, it's a little orange from times that I have made cheese that had some orange coloring. Let's see how much of a mess I can make. I'm just going to let this strain for a little, and then I need to put some salt with it and then actually transfer it over to a mold. So Just gonna let it drip for a little bit longer and then we'll transfer it over. Okay, I just brought it over here to where my cheese press is. So now I'm going to take a tablespoon of salt. I just use the canning salt because it has been, I don't know, refined, and it will just absorb a lot faster. And just kind of mix it up. Okay, just kind of hand mixed it up. Now, what I'm gonna do is lift this up and swap places here. This is my mold, and I'm just gonna lift this straight into here. And then I'm just going to take part of my cheesecloth, fold it, and the less wrinkles you have, the flatter of a press you'll get. Just kind of stick the extra down in here. Now, let's go ahead and put it in here. Okay, things had got really crazy there towards the end. So I actually did not need to put the cheese mold in the cheese press. I just needed a 3-pound weight on top of my cheese. So let me swing you around here. Like that. But now it is time to actually put it into here. So the first steps I need to do is take it out and flip it. Actually, I think I'm going to not been pressed for very long yet, so he could fall apart very, very easily. So I'm trying to be very careful here. Okay, okay, got it. Everything is completely lined up. Let me scoot you around here so you can see it. I'm just making sure the plunger right here is even on the stopper. Okay, now my next step is to hang some weights right here. So my directions say 10 pounds of pressure for 12 hours. So then they give you this nice little chart. So 10 pounds of pressure, I only have an 8. You know what, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use my 2 weight pound, which will equal 8 pounds of pressure on my farthest notch. So, I'm gonna use the exact same one I had. This is a 2.5 pound. I'm gonna put him here on the farthest notch and let him hang like that. Okay, so the time is right now, it's almost 1 o'clock. It needs to press like that for 12 hours. I'm not getting up at 1 a.m. It'll just wait till the morning. So started roughly 8 o'clock this morning and it's almost 1 o'clock and it is ready to sit now. Once it is done, I will take it out of the press and allow it to air dry for a few days before I vacuum seal it and age it for about 2 or 3 months. So there we go. That's a pretty typical cheese day for me. Some cheeses are a lot more intense than this one. This one was actually a pretty easy cheese to do. So hope you guys enjoyed learning something new.